आवाज क्लियर है अभी? Right, so we have discussed about the alpha 1 receptors. Can you see this lipid bilayer, the pointer? Right, so we have discussed about the alpha 1 receptors, and this is the drug with an agonist name, and the drugs bind to the adrenergic receptor. This is the adrenergic receptor, this is the alpha 1 receptor, and this is the transmembrane receptor, which is embedded in the lipid bilayer, and it is passing in the lipid bilayer 7 times. So this is the serpentine receptor, and also we said that receptor is a 7 pass receptor. So the drug which binds to the part of the receptor, that part of the receptor is known as the ligand binding domain. And when the drug binds to the receptor, it causes a change in the receptor, and this is the G protein, right? And with the alpha receptor, with the alpha 1 receptor, the G protein, the type of the G protein which is linked with the alpha 1 receptor is the GQ protein, right? So there are different types of proteins. There are different types of G proteins, and the kind of protein which is linked with the alpha 1 receptor is the GQ protein. And I've already told you that the G protein is a combination of 3 subunits. Therefore, we call G protein as a heterotrimer, because in these 3 subunits are different from each other. So therefore, they are heterotrimer. So these are the 3 subunits of the G protein. And whether any type of G protein, whether it is G inhibitory, GQ, or GS, all G proteins are made up of 3 subunits. And these 3 subunits are alpha. This is the alpha subunits. Can you see it? Can you people see it? My pointer on the alpha G protein part, right? So this is the this is the alpha subunit of the GQ protein, and this is the gamma subunit, and this is the beta subunit. So when the drug binds to the alpha receptor, alpha 1 receptor, and causes a change in the alpha 1 receptor, so a change also occurs on the G protein, and when the change occurs in the G protein, they become active. And when the G protein become active, uh, they loses. They disintegrate from each other. They broke down from each other. So the alpha unit, beta unit, and gamma subunit, they break away from each other, and when the G protein is not active, they are acquiring the GTP, which is the guanosine diphosphate, and when they become active, they acquire the GTP, which is the guanosine triphosphate. So after they become active, when the drug binds to the receptor, so the alpha subunit then goes to the enzyme, which is known as the phospholipase C. The phospholipase C is an enzyme which is already present in the lipid bilayer of the cell membrane, and the alpha subunit then binds to the phospholipase C enzyme, and the job of the phospholipase C is to break down the phosphatidyl diphosphate into 2 compounds. The phosphatidyl diphosphate is also present in the lipid bilayer, and when the phospholipase C acts on the phosphatidyl diphosphate, it breaks down the phosphatidyl diphosphate into diacyl glycerol, which is DAG, and the inositol triphosphate, which is IP3. So after the breakdown of the phosphatidyl diphosphate into diacyl glycerol and IP3, both these compounds have different roles. The job of the IP3 is to take out the calcium which is stored in the endoplasmic reticulum out of the endoplasmic reticulum, and the job of the diacyl glycerol is to activate the protein kinase C. And I've already told you earlier in the previous lecture that if anything, if kinase is written in any substance, it means that it is doing the phosphorylation. It is adding the phosphate group into any other compound, and the addition of the phosphate group into any other compound makes the compound activity alter. The compound can perform higher, or the compound can decrease its activity. So the addition of the phosphate group into another compound can alter the activity of the respective compound. So this is the protein kinase C. It adds a phosphate group into any other compound and to alter the activity. Similarly, when the stored calcium comes out from the endoplasmic reticulum by the action of the IP3, then the free calcium which has came out from the endoplasmic reticulum, that free calcium then binds with another protein which is known as the calmodulin. The calmodulin is not written down in this diagram, but you can note down it. That the free calcium, when it comes out from the endoplasmic reticulum, it binds with the calmodulin. And you know that the calmodulin is also another protein whose activity depends upon the calcium. The calmodulin doesn't work unless and until it binds with the calcium. So when the calcium binds with the calcium calmodulin complex occurs, and that calcium calmodulin complex activate another kinases which are dependent on the calcium calmodulin complex. And uh, after the activation of the kinases by the calcium calmodulin complex, then you know that the kinase, what is the job of the kinase? The kinase job is to add the phosphate group into another compound and alter the activity. So this is how you are altering the activity of certain enzyme and protein which are present inside your cell, and how the action is produced by the drug. Because when the drug comes, it binds to the receptor and you are altering the enzyme activity. And how you are altering the enzyme activity? You are activating the protein kinases inside the cell. And this is how the enzyme activity changes in the cell. And when the enzyme activity changes, definitely then you will get a different result in normally which you do not get. So this is how, this is the molecular mechanisms of the adrenergic receptor. And the receptor, and the mechanism which we have discussed in the diagram is of the alpha-1 receptor. Right class, this is clear to you? ये हम लास्ट क्लास में डिस्कस किया था, लेकिन आप डायग्राम देख नहीं पा रहे थे, तो इसलिए शायद अब आपको इससे थोड़ा सा क्लियर हो रहा हो. Shall we proceed further? Shall we proceed? Last point कौन सा? Calcium. What you want? सवाल लास्ट पॉइंट कैल्शियम में बेटा क्या रिपीट करूं? The IP3, the inositol triphosphate which you get after the breakdown of phosphatidyl diphosphate. The job of the inositol triphosphate, the IP3 job is to take out the calcium which is stored in the endoplasmic reticulum. Right, the endoplasmic reticulum is inside the cell, and the calcium is stored in the endoplasmic reticulum. So that stored calcium is of no use unless and until it comes out from the endoplasmic reticulum. So you have to take out the endoplasmic reticulum out from the endoplasmic reticulum so it can work into the cytosol. So who is doing that job? Inositol triphosphate is doing that job, right? So when the free calcium come out, when the calcium comes out from the endoplasmic reticulum inside the in the cytosol, then that calcium bind with the calmodulin, which is a protein, and the calmodulin doesn't work unless and until it binds with the calcium. And when it's bind with the calcium calmodulin, the calmodulin activates and the calcium calmodulin complex occurs, and then it activates certain kinases which are dependent on the calcium calmodulin complex. Right class? जी सर, कैल्शियम बाइंडिंग वहाँ बेटा मैं आपको ये अभी बता दिया दोबारा, ठीक है जी. देन वी प्रोसीड फर्दर जी. कैन यू सी द अल्फा 2 रिसेप्टर्स एंड माय पॉइंटर ऑन द अल्फा 2? लास्ट में हम डिस्कस कर लेंगे, चलें जो क्वेश्चन आंसर सेशन वी विल डिस्कस इन द लास्ट. राइट, दिस इज द अल्फा 2 रिसेप्टर, and we have discussed about only the alpha 1 receptor. Now we are discussing about the alpha 2 receptor, and this is the alpha 2 receptor, right? Just focus on this alpha 2 receptor. This is the alpha 2 receptor. This is the transmembrane receptor, 7-pass receptor embedded in the lipid bilayer, right? Serpentine receptor, and this is the drug, which is an agonist, and the drug bind with an receptor, and the part at which the receptor, the part of the receptor at which the drug binds and stimulate the receptor. Remember, this molecular mechanism doesn't start until and unless the drug binds with the receptor and stimulate it, right? It doesn't happen if the drug only binds with the receptor. And if the drug doesn't stimulate that receptor, these molecular mechanism will not start and the enzyme activity will not be altered, right? And you know that what is the job of the agonist? The agonist binds with the receptor and stimulate it, right? So remember that thing. Because the antagonists are the drugs which only binds with the receptor and do not stimulate the receptor. So these molecular mechanism doesn't start it, right? So remember that thing. Affinity and stimulation, they are all different. If the drug is only binding it, the drug is an affinity with the receptor. But if the drug binds with the receptor and stimulate that receptor, then the drug is known as an agonist because it is not stimulating it. So this is an alpha 2 drug, and which is binding with the receptor and stimulating it. And when you stimulate the receptor, there is a G protein which is also linked with an alpha 2 receptor. That G protein is also which type of G protein? It is a G inhibitory protein, right? Sorry, we do not have GQ protein with the alpha 2 receptor. We have only this time we have G inhibitory protein. But the G inhibitory protein has the same configuration. It comes with an heterotrimer. It has 3 subunits, which is the alpha inhibitory, beta, and the gamma. And when you stimulate the receptor, you also are stimulating the G protein. And when the G protein is not stimulated, it is acquiring the GTP. And when the G protein is stimulated, activated, then it loses the GTP and acquires the GTP. And these 3 subunits break down. The alpha subunit go away, the beta and the gamma subunit go away. Then that alpha subunit binds with an enzyme, but not this time. This is not binding with the phospholipase. Now this time it is binding with a different enzyme because this is a gene inhibiting protein. It has its own choice, so it has its own taste. So this time it is binding with another enzyme which is also present in the lipid bilayer. That enzyme is known as the adenylyl cyclase. So this is an adenylyl cyclase which is present in the lipid bilayer. And the adenylyl cyclase has 2 faces, दो चेहरे हैं इसके. So this is the one face of the adenylyl cyclase, which is the inhibitory phase, and this is another phase of the adenylyl cyclase, which is the stimulatory phase. When any substance bind with that inhibitory phase, it will inhibit the enzyme activity, and when any substance bind with that phase, which is the stimulatory phase, it will increase the enzyme activity, increase the adenylyl cyclase activity. Then now this time, unfortunately, the alpha inhibitory alpha subunit of the G protein is binding with the inhibitory side of the adenylyl cyclase. So it means that it will inhibit the adenylyl cyclase activity. And before we really discuss further what will be the action produced, first we will discuss what is the job of the adenylyl cyclase. The job of the adenylyl cyclase is to make the cyclic AMP more and more from the ATP, right? And why you are making more and more cyclic AMP? Because when you get the cyclic AMP, it will activate the protein kinases inside your cell. And when you are activating your protein kinases inside your cell, then definitely you will be adding the phosphate groups into different compound and the molecule. And this can alter the enzyme activity or the protein activity inside your cell. So if you want to change the enzyme activity or the protein activity inside your cell, you have to make more and more cyclic AMP from the ATP. And how you are getting more and more cyclic AMP from the ATP? You are getting it by the adenylyl cyclase. But this time, you know that this is an alpha inhibitory protein, and it will bind with the inhibitory side of the adenylyl cyclase. So it will inhibit the adenylyl cyclase. And when you are inhibiting the adenylyl cyclase, the ATP from the cyclic AMP will be reduced. The cyclic AMP production from the ATP will be reduced. And when there will be the reduced cyclic AMP production, then definitely the protein kinase will be more activated or less activated, class. Class, रोजा तो नहीं लग रहा? ठीक है. So the cyclic AMP will be reduced, the protein kinase activation will be reduced, and protein kinase activation, when protein kinase activation will be reduced, less phosphate groups will be added to the enzymes of the proteins, and activity will also be reduced, right? So this is the way you are getting the reduced activity when the alpha 2, when the drug substance bind with an alpha 2 receptor, right class? Right. So this is the brief mechanism of the alpha 2 receptor, right? There is not a rocket science, but just you are activating or deactivating the protein kinases, and how you are activating and deactivating, this is the mechanism, right? If you want to change the activity of the enzyme, just activate the protein kinase or deactivate the protein kinase. That's it. This is the take home note. Now how many receptors are now left? We discussed about the alpha 1 and the alpha 2. How many receptors are left now? Which receptors? Beta 1. Name the receptors, please. Beta 1, beta 2, and beta 3, right? So we have three types of receptor. We have three receptors left for the discussion. But the good news is that all these three receptors have the same mechanism, right? So you don't have to discuss individually. All these three, beta 1 and beta 2 and beta 3, have the same receptor. And the good news continues further, that the beta receptor and the alpha 2 receptors, they have the same molecular mechanisms. The only difference is that for example, this is the beta receptor, and this can be the beta 1, beta 2, or the beta 3, and if the drug comes and binds with the beta receptor, and the drug binds with the receptor at the site which is known as the ligand binding domain, and when the drug binds with the ligand binding domain, it stimulates the receptor, and there is a change in the receptor, and this time the G protein which is linked with the beta receptor, whether it is beta 1, beta 2, or beta 3, the type of the G protein which is linked with the beta receptor, it is the G stimulatory protein, right? G stimulatory, GS. And the protein which is linked with the G protein which is linked with an alpha 2 receptor, it is the G inhibitory, GI protein. And the G protein which is linked with the alpha 1 receptor, that was the GQ protein, right? So this time with the beta receptor, whether it is beta 1, beta 2, or beta 3, the G protein which is linked with all these three beta receptor is the G stimulatory, GS. And you know that the G stimulatory protein then comes with the same taste. It comes with the three different subunits with the which is the beta, and which is the beta one. Where is the gamma? I think they have forget to mention the gamma. Right, this is the gamma, the beta and the gamma and the alpha, right? The alpha subunit is comparatively larger as compared to the beta and the gamma subunit, and this is the alpha subunit of the G stimulatory protein. And you know that when the G protein is not activated, it is acquiring the GDP, and when they become active, they will acquire the GTP, guanosine triphosphate, and they break down, they break from each other. So the alpha subunit goes away, the beta and the gamma subunit goes away, and they make their own waves. And the alpha subunit, what the alpha subunit will do, the alpha subunit is the main thing, right? It is the main subunit which binds within enzymes and cause the changes, right? And the beta and the gamma subunit do not have much significant role, but they do have, but they don't have much significant role as compared to the alpha subunit. As you have seen in the previous receptors, that all the subunits of the G protein breaks down, but only the alpha subunit binds and goes and binds with an enzyme and causes the changes. So similarly, in that case, the alpha subunits break down from the beta and the gamma, and then it goes and fortunately it will find the enzyme which is the adenylyl cyclase, which is I think hopefully you will remember that it is present in the lipid bilayer, and this is the adenylyl cyclase. But this time the alpha subunit of the G stimulatory protein, it will bind with the stimulatory end of the adenylyl cyclase, right? Remember that the G inhibitory protein binds with the inhibitory phase of the adenylyl cyclase, but the alpha subunit of the G stimulatory protein bind with the stimulatory phase of the adenylyl cyclase, because it has two phases. And when it binds with the stimulatory phase of the adenylyl cyclase, what it will do? It will increase the activity of the adenylyl cyclase or decrease the activity of adenylyl cyclase. Class. It will increase the activity of the adenylyl cyclase. Very good. So now, when it will increase the activity of the adenylyl cyclase, what will happen then? You will get more cyclic AMP or less cyclic AMP. You will get more cyclic AMP, and when you get more cyclic AMP, what will happen? When you get more cyclic AMP, you will get more protein kinase activation or less. More protein kinase activation, and when you get more protein kinase activation, definitely then you will altering the activity of the enzymes of the proteins which are required, and you will increasing the activity. Right, class? Right. So this is I hope this time you people are clear, much more clear about the molecular mechanism of the adrenergic receptor, right? So some key points also to mention. So I've told you that remember class, we have discussed in the adrenergic receptors, adrenergic drugs, that we have two kinds of drugs, right? One is known as the direct acting agonist drugs, and the other one is known as the indirect acting agonist drugs. Remember class? So you tell me the mechanisms which we are discussing, the molecular mechanism which we are discussing right now, these are of the direct acting drugs or the indirect acting drugs? ये जो हमने मैकेनिज्म डिस्कस किए हैं, ये डायरेक्ट एक्टिंग के या इनडायरेक्ट एक्टिंग के हैं? अच्छा, इनडायरेक्ट एक्टिंग के हैं। कैसे भाई? कैसे इनडायरेक्ट एक्टिंग के हैं? I've already told you that the direct acting drugs are the drugs which comes and bind with the receptor and stimulate the receptor. And these are the direct acting drugs because they are coming and binding with the receptor. And the indirect acting drugs are the drugs which are not binding with the receptor. Instead, they go directly into the cell and they causes the action. भूल गए सब लगता है आप. So this is the drug, for example, this is coming and binding with the receptor. And so this is the direct acting drug, right? Because it is binding with the receptor. And when the drug is coming and binding with the receptor, so it means that the drug is coming, binds with the receptor and doesn't go inside the cell. It is not going inside the cell, right? So how the action will be produced is the action of the dead drug is produced by the enzymes or the proteins or the molecules which are inside the cell. So they are doing the action for that drug. They are doing the actions. They are doing the certain activity so that the drug action can be produced inside the cell, because the drug is not coming inside the cell. So, but these are the molecules or the compounds which are performing because to produce the action of that drug. So these are all the second messengers, because they are carrying the message of the drug inside the cell. So these all are the second messenger, the calcium, the adenylyl cyclase. So the books has written down them as the second messengers. So do not confuse the second messenger. What are the second messengers? These are the second messengers, because the drug cannot come inside the cell. So these are all the second messengers, right? 10 minute reh gaye. So, and why the drug is not coming inside the cell? Because the drug is water soluble. The drug is more water soluble. and when the drug is more water soluble, the drug is not able to come inside the cell, and when the drug is lipid soluble, the drug can easily come inside the cell. So the indirect drugs which are coming inside the cell, they are all the lipid soluble, and the drug which are direct acting, they are all water soluble. This is another point. Receptor पे सिर्फ एक ड्रग बाइंड होते हैं. व्हाट अबाउट, देखिए इन ये जो रिसेप्टर्स हैं इन पे बेटा एंटागोनिस्ट ड्रग्स भी बाइंड होती हैं. इन रिसेप्टर्स पे एंटागोनिस्ट ड्रग भी बाइंड होंगी, क्यों नहीं होंगी? लेकिन एंटागोनिस्ट और एगोनिस्ट में डिफरेंट ये है कि एगोनिस्ट जब ड्रग रिसेप्टर से बाइंड होती है तो उसको स्टिमुलेट करती है, और जब रिसेप्टर स्टिमुलेट होता है तो तमाम नीचे के मॉलिक्यूलर मैकेनिज्म एक्टिवेट हो जाते हैं. लेकिन एक एंटागोनिस्ट ड्रग अगर होगी तो वो इसके ऊपर सिर्फ बाइंड करेगी, और जब वो बाइंड कर देगी एंटागोनिस्ट ड्रग तो वो दूसरे किसी को भी उसके साथ रिसेप्टर के साथ बाइंड होने नहीं देगी और एक्शन प्रोड्यूस होने नहीं देगी. तो वो एंटागोनिस्ट है, क्योंकि एंटागोनिस्ट जब ड्रग रिसेप्टर के साथ बाइंड होती है तो वो रिसेप्टर को स्टिमुलेट नहीं करती, वो सिर्फ बाइंड हो जाती है और किसी को स्टिमुलेट करने नहीं देती. दैट्स इट. तो जब स्टिमुलेशन ही नहीं होगी तो नीचे तमाम जो मॉलिक्यूलर मैकेनिज्म वो भी नहीं हो पाएंगे. लेकिन एंटागोनिस्ट और एगोनिस्ट ड्रग्स की दोनों की एफिनिटी इन रिसेप्टर के साथ ही होती है, लेकिन डिफरेंस एगोनिस्ट में ये है कि रिसेप्टर के साथ ड्रग बाइंड होगी, स्टिमुलेट करेगी. एंटागोनिस्ट ड्रग बाइंड करेगी रिसेप्टर के साथ, तो स्टिमुलेट नहीं करेगी. ये डिफरेंस है. और जब रिसेप्टर स्टिमुलेट होगा तो ये तमाम चीजें नीचे होंगी, जब रिसेप्टर स्टिमुलेट नहीं होगा तो कुछ भी नहीं होगा नीचे. लेकिन रिसेप्टर तो एक ही उनके लिए, एगोनिस्ट और एंटागोनिस्ट के लिए. तो डायरेक्ट एक्टिंग और इनडायरेक्ट एक्टिंग में डिफरेंस होना चाहिए. इनडायरेक्ट एक्टिंग का ये मैकेनिज्म नहीं है पूरा, ये ना आप इनडायरेक्ट में तो हमने डिस्कस किया था ना, याद है आपको? मिथाइल टायरोसिन एंजाइम याद है, रिस्पेक्टिव ड्रग का एक मैकेनिज्म डिस्कस किया था. लेकिन ये पूरे डायरेक्ट एक्टिंग के पूरे मैकेनिज्म हैं कि रिसेप्टर के साथ हो रही है, क्योंकि रिसेप्टर के साथ बाइंड हो रहा है. क्लियर है क्लास? इज दैट क्लियर क्लास? एनी क्वेश्चन? So this is the molecular mechanism. Remember, we have discussed about it. Next time, from the next in the next lecture, we will discuss about the new topic, right? We will discuss the new topic. इसको हम यहीं पे. और हाँ, remember, आपको जो भी मैं अभी तक पढ़ा चुका हूँ वो बुक्स उठाएं लिपिनकॉट की फार्माकोलॉजी में, ठीक है? स्पून फीडिंग की आदत नहीं डालें. लिपिनकॉट फार्माकोलॉजी बुक उठाएं, उसमें से पढ़ें. आपको इनफ मैंने कॉन्सेप्ट दे दिए हैं इसके बारे में, आप उसमें से पढ़ें. आप ड्रग्स की क्लासेस भी हैं, उनको पढ़ना शुरू करें, ठीक है जी? नेक्स्ट क्लास में अब हम डिस्कस करेंगे कोलिनर्जिक ड्रग के बारे में. अल्फा 2 इज एन इनहिबिटरी रिसेप्टर बाइंडिंग ऑफ अल्फा 2 इज एन इनहिबिटरी रिसेप्टर बाइंडिंग ऑफ नहीं बेटे, आप देखें बुशरा शुएब, आप बात समझने की कोशिश करें. एंटागोनिस्ट, इससे मैं आपको इतना एंटागोनिस्ट में मैंने आपके ऊपर दिया था लेक्चर, इसलिए कि आप भी क्लियर हो. देखिए, एंटागोनिस्ट और एगोनिस्ट का डिफरेंस पहले क्लियर होना चाहिए आपको. आप लोग समझ रहे हैं कि एंटागोनिस्ट ड्रग बाइंड करेगी और रिसेप्टर को स्टिमुलेट करेगी या रिसेप्टर को कुछ चेंज लाएगी. एंटागोनिस्ट ड्रग रिसेप्टर के साथ बाइंड होती है, कुछ चेंज नहीं लाती, किसी किस्म का चेंज नहीं लाती. वो बस बाइंड हो गई और वो कोई चीज उसके होने ही नहीं देगी, कुछ नहीं होने देगी उस रिसेप्टर के साथ. अगर वहां पे एक्टिवेशन हो रही थी तो एक्टिवेशन, अगर एगोनिस्ट बाइंड होने से एक्टिवेशन होती है तो वो एक्टिवेशन स्टॉप हो जाएगी, दैट्स इट. लेकिन वो उस डीएक्टिवेशन को पोटेंशिएट नहीं कर पाएगा. वो बस एक चीज जहां पे हो रही है वो वहां पे होना बंद हो जाएगी, दैट्स इट. भाई एक जगह पे अगर एक काम हो रहा है और अगर एक जगह पे एक काम बंदा कर रहा है, उसकी जगह अगर आप आ जाएं और वो काम आप के आने की वजह से हो ही ना रहा हो तो एक अलग चीज है. लेकिन अगर आप उस जगह पे आ गए हैं और जो काम हो रहा था आप मजीद उसको खराब कर रहे हो तो एक अलग चीज है. दो चीजें है ना, एक तो आप काम हो रहा है, एक हो रहा है काम नहीं हो रहा है, और एक हो रहा है कि काम नहीं हो रहा मजीद खराब भी कर रहे हैं. तो एंटागोनिस्ट जो ड्रग्स हैं वो क्या करती हैं कि वो एक जो काम हो रहा होता है बस उस काम को रोक देती हैं, उसको मजीद खराब नहीं करती, उसको मजीद कम नहीं करती, बस उस काम को होने नहीं देती. ये एंटागोनिस्ट का मतलब है. ये बेटा क्लियर करें अपने कॉन्सेप्ट. एगोनिस्ट का काम है करवाना, एंटागोनिस्ट का काम है उसको रुकवाना. एंटागोनिस्ट का काम ये नहीं है कि मजीद उस काम को कम करवा देना, मजीद काम कम नहीं करवाता, बस काम होने नहीं देता, दैट्स इट. बट हाँ, कैडजंग भी आप यूज कर सकते हैं. इट ऑल डिपेंड्स अपॉन योर टेस्ट. यू कैन यूज द कैडजंग, यू कैन यूज द लिपिड फार्माकोलॉजी, यू कैन बोथ यूज द कॉम्बिनेशन. भाई चैप्टर नंबर, मोहम्मद रफीक कैसे सवाल पूछ रहे हैं आप? भाई चैप्टर नंबर लिपिड फार्माकोलॉजी में आप एडिनर्जिक ड्रग्स को उठा के देखें. अब मुझे चैप्टर नंबर याद थोड़ी है. लिपिड ऑटोनॉमिक नर्वस सिस्टम में एडिनर्जिक ड्रग्स और एडिनर्जिक एगोनिस्ट ड्रग्स, एडिनर्जिक एंटागोनिस्ट ड्रग्स, आप बुक उठाएं उस पे नहीं, नेक्स्ट क्लास जो है वो इससे पहले होगी, 2 क्लासेस होंगी कोलिनर्जिक ड्रग्स की। सब तो बंद किया हुआ है बेटा, कहाँ जाएंगे आप? ना घूमने जा सकते हैं, ना कुछ लेने जा सकते हैं, घर में बैठ के पढ़ाई करें और माशाल्लाह ताक रातें चल रही हैं, इबादत भी करें, सब बंद किया हुआ है। ठीक है बेटे, कोई और सवाल? मेरे ख्याल से टाइम पीरियड पूरा होने वाला है। बेटा मुझे पेज नंबर एग्जैक्टली रिमेंबर नहीं चले, मैं नेक्स्ट क्लास में आपको पेज नंबर भी बता दूंगा, लेकिन आप एडर्जिक ड्रग्स और एडर्जिक एंटागोनिक ड्रग्स हैं। ठीक है, आज का लेक्चर में कुछ सवाल है और बेटे? कोई सवाल नहीं है? सर क्लोनिडीन एगोनिस्ट है या क्लोनिडीन इज एन एगोनिस्ट, क्लोनिडीन इज एन अल्फा 2 receptor agonist, because but you know that when any substance binds with an alpha 2 receptor, it will decrease the activity. So therefore you do not classify clonidine as an sympathetomimetic, whether you classify the clonidine as a sympathetolytic, because any substance which binds with an alpha 2 receptor and stimulate the alpha 2 receptor, it will decrease the activity, right? Because alpha 2 receptor linked with the G inhibitory protein, and the G inhibitory protein bind with an inhibitory end of the adenylyl cyclase. So this is the reason you are getting the decreased activity when in substance bind with an alpha 2 receptor. Any more question? We have only 3 minutes left. Unfortunately, we're not able to acquire the advanced version of the Google Zoom. It's not my job to get it. सर 1 बजे तक क्लास ले लें, टाइम नहीं, हाँ वो टाइम जूम पे बेटा वो 2-3 मिनट आ रहा है आखिरी का। आज फिर अल्फा सब यूनिट में टेम्सोलुसिन अल्फा 1 होता है या हाइपरप्लेजिया के लिए यूज होगा या सीवीडी? अल्फा सब यूनिट में टेम्सोलुसिन अल्फा 1 होता है। सीवीडी से क्या बोला? हाँ, टेम्सोलुसिन जो है वो अल्फा 1 रिसेप्टर एंटागोनिस्ट होता है, अल्फा 1 रिसेप्टर एंटागोनिस्ट है। हाइपरप्लेजिया के लिए यूज होता है टेम्सोलुसिन, बिनाइन प्रोस्टेट हाइपरप्लेजिया के यूज होता है। The tamsulosin binds with an alpha subunit, and you know that the alpha 1 receptors are located in the prostate, right? And in the benign prostate hyperplasia, you have to relax the prostate. And how you are relaxing the prostate? By contracting the alpha 1 receptor in the prostate. Sorry, by blocking the alpha 1 receptor in the prostate. And so therefore the alpha 1 blockers are given because they go and binds with alpha 1 receptor in the prostate, and when you are blocking the alpha 1 receptor in the prostate, you are relaxing the prostate, because when the prostate is contracted, it will result in the urinary incontinency. So therefore you have to relax the prostate. And how you are relaxing the prostate? You are relaxing the prostate by giving the alpha 1 blocker, selective alpha 1, because in the prostate the alpha 1 receptor are predominantly present. So the good choice is you give the alpha 1 receptor selective drug. So the tamsulosin has an indication of the benign prostate hyperplasia, because you are giving the tamsulosin for the symptomatic relief from the urinary incontinency. Any more question, class? ठीक है, आज का फिर समझ आ गया या आप लोगों को? लास्ट टाइम में मेरे ख्याल से बहुत परेशान हो गए थे, आप समझ नहीं पा रहे थे।